They have put their trust in those they have voted into office, that we will do what is best for them. They don't deserve this embarrassment, this waste of taxpayer dollars. Thank you for letting me get this off my chest.
That's why I voted nay when that question came up of whether we're going to do the fire hall or not. Not because I don't believe we need the fire hall, it's because I have been around long enough that the previous 2 times that we tried to do a fire hall, it was primarily because we were looking to build the Taj Mahal. And it was realized that we didn't need all the stuff that was incorporated in the plans. And so rather than have an argument about it, we just let it go by the wayside. I agree with you that the plan is more extensive than it needs to be. We need a basic fire hall and not Taj Mahal. It has certainly come down from there, but still, it is more than what we need and more expensive than what we would like to spend. I know you and I started out with the $1.5 million and said we would not go any higher, and we've exceeded that by almost twice what we had thought. So I agree with you on that. I think there are things that can be done to decrease the cost without decreasing the effectiveness of the fire hall. And again, I was not at 1 or 2 of those meetings, and I can't say if it was because I wasn't notified or because I forgot. But yeah, things happened that I was not aware of.
Like,
Next.
I didn't know this was going to turn out this way, but Fred, I am with you in certain things that you just brought up, which I am surprised, but I would like for Joe, for you to look into these situations. Running hot water 24 hours, 7 days of the week is ridiculous. I agree with that, Fred. That is upsetting. The landscape, I don't know for sure about it. I was not to this meeting. I'm sorry that I wasn't, but I wasn't. Rainwater on the property, all I'm asking is, can you take a look at it?
I would
That's
be
all
curious to
that-
find out
that's
who
all.
was at the meeting if you weren't there and I wasn't there and Fred wasn't there.
I don't know, but I'm finishing up what I did.
Sorry.
In fairness to Fred, I think we should look into it. But in fairness to Joe and Corey, look into it. I'd like to know, because I'll tell you what, I don't think I could stomach running something like that continuously. I'm just using that for what you brought up. Now, my fighting question is this here. Council members, some of you have been on this council now for 20-some years or almost 20 years, and no fire hall has been built. My question is, why? Because was it a Taj Mahal then, or when, or what? Now, from the very beginning, 2 years or more ago, I have followed along with this every single time except for this last meeting. Been to every one of them. I know that the mayor has been to every one of them. There's numerous ones in this town that have gone and have looked at it. And it has gone from this, we've narrowed it down, and narrowed it down. And I think, personally feeling, up until this moment, on your water system and a few of these here, I thought they have done a real good job. I've been very confident with it. But I would like to have an answer to those questions that you did bring up. But I honestly do feel that if we keep stalling, the price is going to continue on up. I don't think it's a Taj Mahal, at least in my version of it. The places that I have looked at, where I've gone past, I think we're pretty meat and potatoes. It's a very basic, yes, there are some nice looking things about it, true. But I also look at it this way, it does represent our city. I don't have much more to say. If you guys can look into it, I'd like to know about it.
I certainly can look into it, and just a couple of comments on the procedure that we went through. Back when the schematic design was approved and council authorized the final design to be initiated, we had set that we would have 2 design review meetings. One when we got to about 50% plans, and then the second one we got to about 90% plans. The discussion was held at a council meeting whether or not those should be held as council meetings with a quorum of the council present, or whether they should be held at a staff level. And I recall the discussion was that the conclusion was that they should be held at a staff level, because opening it to a quorum of council meant then posting as a public meeting and then having the public attend the meeting as well, which could potentially derail the meetings and decrease their efficiency. So the decision was made to only invite at maximum 2 council members to the meetings. My recollection for the first meeting, the intention was to invite the mayor and Councilmember Barsness to that meeting. I'm not sure what happened to cause Councilmember Barsness to not get invited. I personally was not responsible for inviting the council members to the meeting. The second meeting, Councilmember Barsness was there. John, you were there? No, you were not there.
No, but I do specifically remember requests not to have a quorum.
Right.
Right. And I opted out because I was not familiar with construction.
My understanding was that John was intending to attend. Therefore, I stayed away so that we wouldn't have a quorum. As it happened, John didn't attend.
And the meeting, the intention of the process then was to complete the plans based on those 2 design review meetings with input from at least a portion of the council along with the staff department heads. And then once the plan went through the review at the USDA architect, we would then come back and review the complete plan with the complete council. We didn't feel it was appropriate to review it with the council and then submit it to the USDA architect, and if he wanted significant changes, to have to come back and review it with council a second time. We want to make sure it got to that process. So there still is a review coming with the full council. And keep in mind, you haven't approved anything yet. You still have the final approval authority on these plans. If the plan comes back and you want to eliminate the parking lot or half the parking or make any of the changes you want, you certainly have the authority to do that. It's your project. Stormwater management, we do, because we are taking a vacant site and putting a lot of hard surface on it, we do have to manage that stormwater to the requirements of the MPCA. Those are permit requirements that we can't change. Correct. And there are certain grade requirements, because we are using USDA financing, there are certain grade requirements for the parking lot and for the sidewalks and for the building and the relative elevation differences from the buildings to the sidewalks that create additional low points in the parking lot that we have to pick up with the storm sewer piping, that if we weren't using the USDA financing, we could design the parking lot a little bit differently with a little bit different sloping and probably eliminate a couple of those catch basins. But the system wound up the way it is as a result of the requirements of the USDA plan. They have a guidebook that they issue to the architects and the engineers for designing a plan that is going to go through their approval process. So that's a portion of
So
some.
is this a guidebook or is this a
Requirements.
law?
Well, put it this way, if you don't follow their requirements, they won't sign off on the plan, and your application for financing will not be approved.
Okay.
So some of the design elements are in response to their requirements. In regards to the water heater, I'm not a mechanical engineer, so I don't know this exact specifics, but that question will be answered when we have the full review meeting with the council. My understanding or my recollection from the meeting, and Mark, you were there, you can see if your recollection is the same as mine, is the way the building's laid out, well, there was required to be a men's room and a women's room. And then the third restroom is accessed, the men's room and the women's room are accessed off the office portion of the building. The third restroom is a single unit restroom that's accessed off the apparatus space. And it's got a single toilet and a shower, and its intent is for the firemen that come back from a call, if they're dirty from, then rather than coming into the building and getting, they have a restroom they can use right there and a shower they can use right there. So that's there. There's also the SCBA room and the kitchen, which require hot water. Because of the distance between where the hot water requirements are, I recall that the code requirements is that the hot water heater has to be within a certain distance of where the hot water spigots are. And there were a couple different ways that they could meet the building code requirements. The most cost-effective way was to have one water heater located with a recycling pump that would run periodically to keep the water circulating through, rather than have multiple hot water heaters. That's in general, that's my recollection of the design review meeting. But we can certainly request that the mechanical engineer attend the review session with the council when the plans come back from the USDA architect. And he can answer that specific, we'll have him prepared to answer that specific question in detail. But that's my recollection, is it was a result of the spacing of where the bathroom and the SCBA room and the kitchen and the physical distance between those hot water taps and the requirements of the building code with how hot water has to be circulated through the system.
Now, the three bathrooms and the kitchen, they're all on one side of the building, relatively close to each other.
Yes,
And the SCBA room is on the opposite side, farthest away.
yeah, the three bathrooms would be from the west to the east, and then the kitchen is just southeast of those bathrooms, and then the SCBA room is just northeast of the kitchen. Kind of in line with those bathrooms, but separated by the hallway, the access hallway to the apparatus bay and the hose tower.
And this is something totally new to me.
You know, nothing's been, we haven't crossed any line that we can't come back from yet.
Right.
You know, the plans have not been approved yet. No advertisement for bids have been issued yet, no bids have been taken yet. So things are still, at this point, completely under the control of the council.
And the funding request is an up to amount.
Correct. What they do is they obligate funds to us, and once we expend funds and provide documentation that those funds have been expended, that's when they reimburse us. So we have no obligation, we haven't borrowed any money from USDA, and we have no repayment obligations, no debt service to them, until we physically go through the expenditure and request the money from them. So at this point, none of that has happened, so the city's under no obligation from that. So things are still completely under the control of the city at this point.
Right.
We're just finding out
However,
about things right at this moment.
a lot of investment has already been made in this project.
Correct.
Yes.
Legal fees, engineering fees, architects, whatnot. We certainly don't want to throw up our hands and say, oh, it's way too expensive, we're just gonna have to get by with what we got. As far as who are we trying to impress? Well, I do remember hearing a lot of remarks from different people early in this project about how nice that fire hall in this town looks, or how nice the fire hall in this other town looks, and we need to have something to catch people's attention as they come into town and show them what a forward-thinking and active city we are. Yes, there's a point of going too far, either in the totally utilitarian end or in the totally ostentatious end. We don't want a Taj Mahal that people will drive 50 miles out of their way to see that fantastically elaborate fire hall. We don't want a tin shed either. We don't want a practical fire hall that's going to serve our needs now and long, long into the future. And are there some things that should be changed? No doubt. Are there some things that will be changed? No doubt. But it is a project that needs to proceed. And as I said, I didn't come to that second review meeting because I was afraid that that would create a quorum and that would be a problem. I wish I had, so I knew more about this particular situation that Fred tells us about from that meeting that he did attend and I did. Go ahead.
Well, Mike, you're bringing up something that, I'll tell you, I'm upset. What you brought up, Fred, I'm glad that you brought it up here. Now, looking back at it, since we can't have a quorum or we shouldn't, one or the other, I'm suggesting this here. And you take two at a time of us and sit down and go over this thing. And we can bring out our points that we like and dislike on it so that we're accepted. Because I'll tell you what, I don't want to be out there on the street and saying, how come you got hot water running 24 hours a day if it gets out? I won't buy it. I'm telling you.
Well, and
No.
I just feel that we should allow all of us, if we're gonna make the decision, let's all of us get together in the same cart and go the same way with it and get it done and understand from the point that we can, if there's something that I dislike, Fred dislikes, any one of us that dislike, we can work in amongst ourselves and get this straightened out, because you keep revising, we're not gonna go anyplace, and the cost is going up.
Right, and Councilmember Henke, we haven't made any revisions yet. What we've done is we went through the three stages of design: schematic design, well, and preceding that, we even went through the committee where we met with members of the staff, members of the council, members of the fire department to identify what the needs were. If you recall, when we came out of that, there was needs and there was wants. The wants was a 15,000 square foot plus building,
Absolutely.
which got scaled back to 12,000, about 12,005. There was discussion of engineered steel versus precast concrete. Initial investment with engineered steel would be less. Long-term life cycle cost of the building, if you're anticipating the building to be either 50 to 75 years, is higher with the engineered steel. The initial investment is higher, but long-term life cycle cost of the building is lower with the precast concrete. And there were extensive discussions held on that. So we went through the conceptual design, space needs analysis, schematic design, and then design development. So really, the only thing the full council hasn't seen yet, I mean, that floor plan was laid out, was the development of like the mechanical system, the electrical system since then. We did have 2 design review meetings. We did choose to not have a quorum for those. But the next step in the process will be a full review meeting with the full council. And I would prefer that because we as your engineer, we take direction from your city staff and from you. And I understand there are differing opinions on the council, but still 3 out of 5 is a majority. So we need to have the full council present. If we 2 on 2 with you and 2 wanted this and 2 wanted that, that doesn't give us direction for what we do. All we can do is follow the direction given. So the next review meeting though would be the full review meeting with the full council of the plans. Now, if there are changes that are needed in the mechanical system or changes that are warranted in the mechanical system or electrical system from them, or wholesale changes that council, when you get that far, you say, you know what, we want to step back and make some more significant changes. That's still at your discretion to direct us to do that.
Perhaps we as a council did make a mistake in not having the full council at those meetings. We made that decision for what seemed a good reason at the time. Perhaps that was a mistake. But to backtrack just slightly, Joe, I'm still trying to come up to speed on this hot water situation. No, this is, just to make it clear, this is not taking hot water and dumping it down the drain and bringing in new fresh water. This is a situation where the pump, when there is not water, but you've got a pressurized system that's pressurized above line pressure somehow.
Correct. Well, there was a discussion about having an on-demand hot water situation where you could have on-demand hot water at the location we need them, but it was going to be significantly more expensive to install, significantly higher electric uses, and just less efficiency of the system. So essentially what you have is you have, and again, we'll get the full answer from the mechanical engineer. I'm not a mechanical engineer, and
Right.
I don't do plumbing for my trade. I'm not trained in that at all. My understanding is that this was the most cost-efficient and most energy-efficient way to set up the system,
Really?
so that it could, yes.
It
because
really seems surprising, is it?
What, the pump, and, I mean, I don't know, but you're not talking a large pump.
Oh, no,
You're talking
no.
a small electrical pump that might cycle on 5 minutes every hour, something to that effect. Just because you've got the hot water heater that's going to be, just like a hot water heater in your house, it's going to keep a chamber of hot water.
And in your house, why don't you have this pump? Because certainly in a house, you got the kitchen over here, you got a bathroom over here, you got this.
The building code there for a residential house is going to be different than the building code for a 12,000 square foot.
So you have to have hot water has to come on within a certain amount of time? Or?
And I'm sorry, Councilmember Nielsen, I don't know the specific answers. I do know that the mechanical engineer was very well versed in the building codes and talked about how the plumbing codes have gone through some changes recently, and that this was a very specific issue that he discovered, that the way the system was laid out, that he had a few different options to look at, and this was what he determined to be the most cost-effective.
Speaking of codes, you are talking the Minnesota State Plumbing Code, or the Uniform Building Code, or the International Building Code?
I'm not well versed in that enough for myself. All I know is that all applicable codes for this project were reviewed by the mechanical engineer and the electrical engineer under the direction of the architect. The mechanical engineer works for Brunton Architects. He's a member of their staff. So he's,
This is why I didn't make a big deal when I said nay to the process, is because you had said we were going to get a final review.
correct.
And any changes could be made at that time.
Yeah.
That still is.
And you still have final approval authority on the plans, correct.
Now, is it possible to get whatever you've got finalized before the meeting, so that you have a chance to look over and see some of these items, so that we can be fully versed in what needs to be discussed, at least for myself, before the meeting?
Oh, yeah, and Mark, I don't know if you downloaded,
For
but
a work session before the meeting.
yes, that's what we would have.
ask you,
We would have a
I
work
think
session.
the next step here is gonna be, we need to have a meeting soon. We need to have Corey, and come, and we have to walk through every single thing that was talked about at that, at those other two sessions, that normally those type of meetings are done at the level of, that they were done here, where you're talking about finishes and real specific things, but what we need to do is go back through all that stuff, schedule 4 hours or however long it takes, 6 hours, I don't know, go through every single square inch of it. And then, it's at USD now, but changes can be made to any of this at this point. And then when the next meeting happens, after the plans are approved by USDA, that probably won't take very long, so it's kind of like just, it's gonna be done anyway, but this time we have to, or when we do this review, unless I'm not hearing this right, it needs to be done, very intricately, or, detail oriented is what I'm trying to say. And then go from there, and then when USDA finishes it and you have the plans to approve, you'll have gone through them. But what I'm gonna suggest is that this is done, and unfortunately now, my schedule, and I guess I'll come whenever, but my son's a senior, he's in tennis, and he's got meets like 2 or 3 days a week now. I really don't wanna miss too many of them, but if it's on a Friday afternoon, is what I'm thinking, if you guys can, I don't know how your schedules are, but that might be the best way to do it, would be like at noon on Friday, a week from Friday possibly, and then just however long it takes to go through it, we go through it. If you're in agreement with that. If not, then, I guess, let me know, or let us know.
I don't know how else to approach it besides the work session.
Well, and that's what I had in mind, was we need a work session to review the plans in detail, and once the work session, you guys all have comfort level for it, then if you wanted to call a meeting, you know, that same day or schedule another meeting, that's where you could officially consider approving or not approving the plans.
Will they be prepared for us?
Plans are already done, they've
But if
been,
we have some
Correct.
changes,
well, if we have changes, when we would go back and change the plan, and we would send them to the USD architect and said, basically these approved plans, we've made these changes, review them, and we need you to recertify.
Yeah, and if they're minor changes, what I call relatively minor changes, I don't think it's gonna make that much difference. If you come back and say, well, we wanna, I don't think this is gonna happen, but a steel building, well, that's
Right.
gonna blow up, but I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen. But I mean, one thing I wanna point out is that there have been key things here, like the building material, that have come up a couple, 3 times to the council that were voted on. One of those things is steel versus prefab concrete. And prefab concrete was selected and approved. So I mean, some of these things were reviewed and were approved. And I think now, what you're talking about are things that can be dealt with. But one thing to keep in mind, and I'm sure Corey can say this specifically about some of this stuff, is the building code, unfortunately, is in this state is very difficult to deal with. And there's a lot of things that have to be done in a commercial, I don't care if it's a twin home, a single family home now, or a 12,000 square foot commercial building. There's things that building code calls for now that are, I don't want to say crazy, but you have no choice if you're in Minnesota. I'm not saying that for everything with this project by any stretch, but there's things in here that are done a certain way to meet building code that do add quite a bit of cost, and it is frustrating, but that's how it is. And if you don't do it, the state reviews all these plans, they send them back. We deal with this all the time, and it's
and with this
frustrating.
meeting, we'll be able to say, okay, we'd like to see this change because it's gonna save some money, and Corey says, oh, we can't do that because of the building code. Well,
Right.
that's fine.
Exactly.
Okay, we can't do it.
And certainly, the plans and specifications are done, we've got PDFs of them. I know that links were sent out to city staff to be able to download those. I've got a set downloaded. We can print those off and give those to council now if you want them. We were waiting to see if the USD architect had any revision they asked of us.
And could I
So
get that link, and then that way you don't have to print it off, I can just go online and
Certainly.
look at it.
You could, they're very large files, but yeah, we could certainly set it up so that you could look at those. And really just to kind of reiterate some of what the administrator said, a lot of the main decisions regarding the building, the floor plan, the building system, the site plan, the layout of the parking lots, those things have been reviewed. Really nothing has been developed since the last time council has seen it, other than the detailed systems for the mechanical, the electrical, the structural. So, but that certainly doesn't mean that you can't make changes. We're not under any time frame here. There's no need that we need to feel rushed. USDA, once Kansas City approves this application, I believe, I can't recall what the specialist said, but I think we have like 12 months. You know, she said we just need to show that we're making progress on the project. So it's not like we have to, but that's the thing, is the only pressure that I've heard is that people want to get a building in the ground this year. So, you know, if you want to try and accomplish that, you need to keep this project moving. If you're not comfortable with that, you certainly have the authority to slow the process down. The USDA approval for the funding application isn't going to require that we go out to bids within 30 days or 60 days or anything like that. We have as much time as we want. So if council at this review meeting all of a sudden realizes this project's gotten to be too large of a scope, or there's major items you want to change, you still have the authority to pull it back and have major reworks on it if you want. You know, it may cause that the project would go the next year rather than this year, which, you know, would be disappointing to some people on a different front. But still, it ultimately comes down to, it's got to be a project that the council, a majority of the council at least, is comfortable with, supports, and approves. And we're willing to take whatever direction you want to give us towards that end. I mean, up to this point, we thought we were following your direction, getting the design along this far, but as we said, it's still not complete and approved yet. So you still have the authority to pull it back and make any modifications you want and have us bring it back to you again. It's just a matter of time and reaching consensus.
Mhm.
I think we should get together then, set up a time for a meeting, and lay it out on the line, move forward.
And I'll make sure the administrator has the link and the information for each of the council members that wants to be able to access the PDF online. If you want a hard copy printed off, either the administrator can print one off, or I'd be happy to print them off and have them
How many
delivered.
pages are we talking about if you print it off?
But the specification is 700 pages long.
Oh, okay.
The plan set is, well, I didn't bring the whole, yeah, it's significant. Well, the first street specification is 300 pages long, so even a relatively simple project like First Street is 300 pages. The specifications for the fire department, I recall looking at it going, it's a 700-page specification. The plan set, I've got the cover of the plan set so I can quickly.
They're still skiing.
Well, I'm just off the top of my head without adding up all these numbers. I'm gonna guess the plan sheet's about 50 pages long.
Okay.
You know, there's a section on civil, which are the sheets that I designed personally. There's the architectural sheets, there's the structural sheets, the mechanical sheets, the plumbing sheets, and the electrical sheets.
And the specs
along with some
will
general
be
details.
there so that we can specifically reference some of the things that Fred has mentioned.
Certainly, yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
okay.
But yeah, you feel free to review the plan specifications as thoroughly as you like, as you prepare for the meeting. Just understand that these have not been signed off on yet by the USD architect, so
Yes.
he may ask for some changes that we need to incorporate before we
Uh-huh.
have our final review meeting with him.
Yeah.
But certainly, I can send that information to the administrator tomorrow, and if anyone wants a hard copy printed, we can certainly print it. Otherwise, you could start by trying to look at the electronic and pages, and you can print off any individual pages you want.
Yeah, okay.
Mark, you had mentioned about, you got some obligations, are you talking next Friday? Is
No,
that the-
Friday I wouldn't.
Next Friday, this Friday or the following?
Well, either one of them, I guess.
Yeah, because I got a commitment,
So they don't play tennis on Fridays, or what?
No, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday normally,
Ah.
occasionally on Monday, but
You know, Doug,
like I said, I can come whenever, but.
I'm just saying, I found out today, we've got a burial commitment, 2 of them on next Friday, the 22nd, at Preston at the Minnesota New Cemetery
Veteran
down there.
Cemetery, okay.
And I've already committed that we're going to take our color guard down there, so I've got to go on that one. And that's pretty well a full day, so
Okay.
I'd like to want to attend both.
You could pick the 29th, I'm supposed to move my mother-in-law.
29th, I've got a commitment, 29th and 30th.
And she's moving in next to my brother, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind missing that.
Well, you know, like, next Wednesday, of course, we have KMU at 6, but if it was, and I guess it doesn't have to be during the day, I just think for the amount of time it's gonna take, it would be better to start, you know, in the early afternoon. There's no rush. Wednesday,
You think of the 20th?
I'm not available next Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
next week.
Next week, I'm not available Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Uh-huh, I'm glad you did.
I'm just saying, I got to go back, I'm officially done, but I still got to go back. But I have to pay. I got to serve steak and shrimp for 200 drivers. Because of the.
Okay, so. Scott.
Yep.
What, now, this Friday, like if, I mean, from a posting standpoint, if we got something up tomorrow, would we be
Well, I put it up tonight, or we can continue the meeting right now and say, continue the discussion on Friday at a certain time, we have to do no further post time, but I would suggest we do.
Oh, we still would, yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest they put on the statute, no, we can continue.
Joe, is that,
I have a commitment Friday from 11 till 2, and I'm not sure what Corey's schedule is either. This is gonna be new to him, so I
well, that's the
need
thing
to
too,
make
is
sure
to
that
get him down.
he's
here.
there and his mechanical designer too, because I'm not qualified to answer those questions, and neither is Corey.
That's the key question at this point.
Correct.
What happens if we put it off until the very first part of May?
Well, I don't think it's gonna make any difference, because USDA may be done by the end of this month,
Yeah, we
but
haven't
it's not
heard.
gonna matter, we still can go through it.
Now, is this the Kansas one that's gonna be done? or
No, the
Minnesota?
second one.
Your architect review.
Okay, so what about the last week of April? Joe, are you,
Last week, we went fairly open.
okay, so if we went either the 27th or 29th,
29th, I'm.
27th?
Mayor's Wednesday,
Friday,
7.
not the last week.
I'm not sure if I've had that, but
One of those.
I'd make that, well, 27th is,
SMLA.
yeah, 27th is the SMLM annual meeting.
Oh, you're right. And the 28th is the LMC Loss Control Workshop, which, I don't know.
What about May? First week of May, gives everybody a little bit of a leeway.
Well, May 4th or May 6th, are you, Joe, what does that look like?
Either one of those look okay. May 4th, I have an appointment in the morning, it looks like I'd be able to be down here by early afternoon, by about like 1 or 1:30 at the latest.
Yeah.
May 6th, I'm wide open.
Yeah, Wednesday, Friday. 4th or the 6th. Yeah, the only 2 days I won't have a tennis thing for my son is Wednesday or Friday that week, so. You know, unless you want to start earlier in the day.
And eat breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always thinking in terms of afternoon or evening, but I mean, you could start, if it's a day he's got to meet, if it started at, 11 o'clock or something, and if for some reason I had to leave a little bit, I mean, that's, so I mean, yeah, by that time it's fairly open.
You said Tuesdays and Thursdays
Depending on
are,
the day.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are bad, right? Those are,
Generally speaking, but we're talking 4:30 or 4 o'clock, so I might have to leave by, 3:30, depending on where he's playing. One day's tough because they're playing in a triangular in Lakeville, so that's gonna be probably something I wanna see too, so that one, not so much.
Wednesday, the 4th is out for some other reason.
No, Wednesday and Friday I'm open, but,
That's 5-4
yeah,
on Wednesday.
Yep.
Red is.
I mean, the whole day. What about and then the 6th, was there something Friday?
Personally, I'm just waiting to write down the date.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, we'll
feeling
still
left
have to hear
out because I
from,
don't have conflicts.
We have to confirm
If
with
they're
Cory.
hurry, yeah.
So we're gonna need a couple of days probably, a couple
Well-
different days.
Prefer Wednesday and have Friday as a backup, but Wednesday won't work. Would probably be a reasonable
What
compromise.
was the first one? Monday?
Wednesday the 4th. Or if that can't work, then go for Friday the 6th.
in the afternoon, is that what we're thinking, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open. Fred, are you okay those 2 days? Okay.
I'm fine on any time. I'm sure I don't have anything down that far ahead yet. And first week of the month is typically nothing much.
So when something is set in stone, can you notify me?
Yes, I
Maybe.
mean, we'll have to notify everybody anyway, because we gotta
Yeah, okay.
post it, so,
I don't have to write anything down.
Well,
wanna check with Corey, or?
Yeah, I'll email him in the morning and I'll copy you,
Okay.
so that you're in the loop on the discussion.
Okay, that comment took a little bit of time.
It did, but it was needed.
Yes, oh,
That was
yes,
good. Yes.
Good that it's,
People will be much more satisfied.
I hadn't told anyone that, I'll be out of the meeting by 8 o'clock, but
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry.
No, I had a comment, if we're still doing comments.
go for it.
And that is, I'm wondering what's happening with the tennis courts. I know we had said something here a few months ago. I see the fencing is being torn down.
Yeah, there's nothing going on that,
It belongs to the church.
The church,
and they're
I don't
doing
think-
what
They were going to give it to us.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
No? I thought.
No, they weren't.
well, there might have been a couple people that were interested in it, but
There may have been
Basically.
individuals that expressed that, but no, the
Okay, it was.
building committee or whatever it's called as a whole, no.
No, okay. So nothing's happening.
And we certainly couldn't, actually, it was unaffordable anyway, but it certainly was unaffordable for us to put money into their property.
Yeah, oh, certainly, yeah. If they were gonna give it to us, then that would make it somewhat.
Now, they wanted it too bad in the first place to turn around and give it back, I believe.
Well, yeah, uh-huh. Okay. That answers that question. That's my only comment. I did have another one, but now I've forgotten after all this back and forth.
Interesting night. I think we made progress. I think we cleared up a lot of things that I feel that everybody has an opportunity to.
I'm really waiting to be convinced that this can be the most energy efficient method. On the face of it, it sounds quite ridiculous on the face of it.
Yeah, you can never tell with the different rules. that we
Well,
have in
and
place.
that's my other question is,
How do we get around those rules?
well, we can't, but was it prepared, what building codes was it prepared to meet? There is a relatively newer set of codes that has a lot of much more stringent requirements. Normally, uniform building code applies in Kenyon.
ICBO,
But that-
but there could be things that the state has.
And then there is a
tendency
state,
to add
there's
on
a
to.
state plumbing code that's separate
Yeah.
in addition to the UBC, but, yeah.
I don't know if any of you looked at the figures, but I just want to point out that the year-to-date for the muni, their revenue was up 8% and their net was up 81% for the first 3 months of it. This is the first 3 months we got, right?
Yep.
Went from a $2,000 net to almost $11,000 for the first 3 months.
Yeah, it's kind of continuation of what we saw last year, but it's going very well. I think the manager's doing an excellent job,
So that's good to see.
really, so.
Yeah. Any further comments, anyone?
In which case I make a motion that we adjourn.
And I
Unless you
second.
had some comments.
And I said, I've made comments already,
Okay.
and I'll second that motion. On favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
So,
Hey, be nice to my lawyer.
I went through the numbers with you guys. So, I want the numbers with you. brought up.
They have.
Yeah.
Right, but because of this project. Yeah, no, that's true, and I was pretty clear about that.
But I mean, we're gonna have a levy every year, that's gonna be part of that.
But it should go up, because of this project, it shouldn't have to go up 7%. Well, if the project stays where it's at,
Ask the question.
you know, sure.
I just can't,
The thing is,
I just cannot believe.
we have a $3 million wall. And I say that, we can't go about $3 million.
Anyway.
Period.
Okay.
But we don't want to start trying to say, what I'm telling you is, we have a fiscal bonding plan. We can't go up, so it's not gonna. And I've tried to explain that, you know, without saying it 50 times, but that cannot go on. So, the thing is, we'll have a couple of years where we.
I could release them to, and then call this
And
guy.
that's, yeah, maybe we will decide, maybe this will be paid off. See, this is another reason you're seeing these reserves going up. And if this is paid off.
I think that's correct.
the best for everybody.
We don't want to be the one that's
Then also.
handing them off.
I know that's all. I got so freaking mad about.
No, I think that's correct.
Scotty Meyer, he didn't. Warsaw Township was there last month. And so he kind of told me, I was about ready to,
So she has.
seriously, I mean, they just started.
And her son was there
What?
today.
We didn't do it. You know, we try to do everything we can to kiss their, seriously. Yeah, this is what we can.
I've been out here 10 years.
It makes me so damn mad, but, I know,
Now they're eventually, they'll be paying 50% more.
I have never seen anything like it. Seriously, I've never seen anything like it.
Down whatever.
And that, you know, there's 4 cities where, how many times, I've never seen a group of, seriously. I mean,
Right, I mean, that's why I was wondering, I mean, great detail.
yeah, you can turn that key and you see where the red lights go down. Yeah, so that should be on. Yep.
I took some video here, pictures and.
Oh, except it's not on. But I'll tell you what is on this.
Hey, big bucks.
But I'll-
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's so. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was sort of a.
We're not gonna start a fight.
I thought Mike was gonna. I know he wasn't gonna touch his head. Yeah, I know. It's just, and like when Fred, I don't know seriously what happened there. But that's why we're gonna have another meeting. That's all we can do. Well, you know, I was thinking in 3-4 years, involved in 50 meetings, I guess there were 1 or 2 where somebody wanted to come and didn't get no, you know. But I think most of the time, everybody, it's supposed to be the meetings that I wouldn't want to take back. All right.
I do the same thing.
No, and I don't seriously do it either. I mean, I know some things.
That's why now it's just like, it's, so I should do it.
I would've tested that.
Yeah, that's what I do it. You go get them in the chair. Yeah, I can see what he's doing. No, just little privilege. Wanted to be very.
Well, it's like Amstead was gonna put another 20, that's when we used to sprinkler it. He said, forget it. I don't blame him, you know?
Yeah,
Damn building code.
your fault, yeah.
Well,
That's
that's the.
You never said a word.
If there's a positive upside, there's a good side. Yeah, I remember that from years ago, he was saying, that won't be me, I'm not doing that, you know, even last time she was, she was at one of the assessment hearings. Yeah, remember that, yep, and, so no, she talked for a long time with that one.
Put it in the middle of the year. There's your outside. You don't have to pay that.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. She beat City Hall.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Oh,
Well, okay.
no, it is, but she was, I mean, my kids even remember her going, you know, when they're really little coming to the carriage and cutter and stuff. Oh, yeah.
Josh just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's
So-
crazy.
All right, take care. All right, so I'll
I'm totally.
give you that as a
Well, first question that I posed to Melissa,
Okay.
and I didn't intend to do this, but I talked to the AG who could answer either.
No, I think it's,
What it amounts to is it's an interpretation.
it is.
It's a long-standing interpretation, and it's things like this that make me realize that law is not a rule book. It's more like the scriptures. It can be interpreted at different
I try to
times
tell
in
people
different
that,
ways.
exactly, it's not, you have to understand, even though the statute may have been in place for 50 years, it's just not black and white. That's the way these things really work, and they do
I've just seen
change.
people arguing both sides.
Yeah, no, and she asked me that multiple times, I said, hey, you can call the mayor back, because I'm telling you, I don't think there's a perfect answer on this. Yeah,
What I haven't done yet, which I still intend to do, is email alcohol and gambling enforcement to
Okay.
ask, are you aware
okay,
of this situation ever transpired?
yeah,
Milty was telling me about a place in Lakeville that was in business outside the city limits, then the city annexed it.
and
and
brought
they
it
were
in.
allowed
Yeah,
to-
there were a lot of
they were allowed
issues
to
relative to
stay
that.
in, but-
Yeah, there were a lot of issues relative to that. In fact, the question just came up with somebody else too on that, whether you can do that. And, you know, the response has always been no. And but the point is, the statute and the rules both don't clearly say
No,
that.
they
They
don't.
just don't. I've
They
said
don't
that.
address it at all.
The answer would be no. In my time at the league 20 plus years ago now, the answer always would have been, well, no, because it doesn't say it.
Lee
And I-
doesn't say.
They
Lee
don't
just
say that
quotes
anymore.
the
I know,
statute.
they do now, I know. But back in time when Stan Pescar was a general counsel, he would have said, no, because that's what we said back in '67. And that's what he would do. That's exactly what he would do. And so that would be the advice that would be given out. And,
That was
but
from-
no, I'm glad you realize that, because most people don't, well, it's gotta be clear. No, they're not clear. Why do you think there are court cases? That's the rationale, that's why things
It was fun
are.
to put the AG on.
Yeah,
spot and,
yeah.
I don't know either.
Well, good. I mean, again, because it's nice to see that, because they usually will be pretty honest. It's a pretty good group from what I understand there now. I'm not sure they were perfect years past, but they're,
But now, more personal.
okay?
I'm not sure if I've talked about this with you before. The 15 feet of additional land that I purchased from my neighbor to
Okay.
get. I had a survey done, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now,
Okay,
because there was going to be a new neighbor to my west. That house had stood empty for a long
Okay,
time. The
okay.
line has always been disputed where it was.
right,
So before the new person came in, I wanted to get that
Right.
clear.
understand.
Which, that was fine, I actually got more than I thought I had there. But in the process, discovered that my north line was,
Less. Yeah.
so where my garage was 7.5 feet over the line.
Oh, okay.
This is something that we have always understood the line, both people that are living there now, or
Yeah.
the poor, they bought another house, they're in the process of remodeling, getting ready to sell.
Okay,
Me, my folks before me, the several owners back of that property always believed the line was here.
Right.
We discovered it's 15 feet further to the north.
okay,
So I have gotten with the neighbor, we made the agreement, we've got the paper signed, recorded in Red Wing. Now I need to do the minor
subdivision, we have on our
Subdivision.
code, yeah.
And back in the 50s, my parents bought 33 feet in between the original lot and this 15 feet that I just purchased.
Okay.
So I have currently 2 parcels, I'll have 3
Three.
now.
Okay,
I want to do a lot combination.
yep,
Can we do those all at one time? or-
basically, yeah, I think so, because
I'd like to
Honestly,
get this done.
you do want to do it as
next
quick as you
month's
can. I was gonna say, you want to do it as quick as you can, and I would do it at the same time saying, here's, you know, and again, we've always just said, you gotta have the depiction of it. Here's the lot coming, or whatever, and here's how we're combining all 3 into one lot. The county typically is the ones that deals with the consolidation. We usually say, and we're saying that's okay, and we're approving it. But yeah, bring forth a minor subdivision and the consolidation at the same point, yes, we should do that in one resolution, we can do that. Yeah, yeah.